Hi, I'm Delit. I love cross stitch, and today is Thursday, May 7th, and this is Flosstube 10. I've made more than 10 videos, but this is the video that's Flosstube 10. I started numbering them at a certain point, but they weren't numbered at first. Anyhow, I'm just going to start by showing you a couple of things that I was given for my birthday, and then projects that I've been working on, and um, I'm gonna go over my WIP Go. I haven't had a lot of progress with that, but I'm hoping to change that. And there's something called Mania, and I'm just gonna talk a little bit about what I'm doing with that and my other cross stitching plans, some stuff that I bought, and a brief life update. So we'll just get started with the gifts. So first, my coworker, Sarah, embroiders, and she made me this cute little design. And I have a hoop that I got for it. I'm going to put it in so I can hang it up. I just, actually just, my stuff is all cluttered and I don't know where I put the hoop. That's basically what happened with that. And my friend that I grew up with, my dear and best friend Paula, gave me this. 125 Designs and Borders by Gloria and Pat. It's an older book from probably the 90s or something. Anyhow, it has a lot of cute little borders in it that you can use. And I plan to. I especially love the chicken border. Isn't that cute? Let's see. It won't take long to just show you a few of the patterns. And see here they've used them to make like a band sampler. It's 125 orders, so there are plenty. They show several on each page. Anyway, I thought that was really nice, and I'm looking forward to using that. So those are the two things that I was given that were cross-stitch related for my birthday. So next I'm going to move on to show you this project that I've been working on for my mother, where I'm working on this gold border. She's done this cross stitching. There's a lot of back stitching to do. There might be some other things to do on that, but the main thing left is to finish the border. This is from Across My Heart booklet. That's probably out of print. Most of my stuff is probably out of print, unless I bought it recently, just because that's what happens with cross stitch. So this is probably one of the things I've worked on a lot, although my mother thinks that I haven't. But I actually have. I just haven't cross stitched a lot. I've been sick, and she's been sick, and then something happened with my sister that I'll talk about later. So I finished this corner up here, I believe. Let's see if I can. I've stitched a little bit down on the bottom part, but mostly I've been working up in these corners. So I thought I'll show you a little closer what the corners look like. And of course, with me, there's always a fair amount of you don't get to see it because I had to take it out. Made mistakes. So this is the corner, sorry, that I have finished. And when I worked on this last, I was working down in here. Yeah. And so just doing all that. Anyway, the other side will look like this when I'm done. But right now, I still need to do some more over here and then come down here. And I think there's a little bit, yeah, here in the middle that needs to get done. So I was noticing that a lot of my projects are not, I haven't shown a finished project. Not one that I started or like that I've been doing, showing in my updates and then finished it while I've been doing these videos. So I would love to get one of these finished so that I can show you a finished project. I have other projects that I have finished that I would like to get framed or finish up, but I still need to do that. This one I have worked on a bunch, and that is my tree afghan. I had shown you before that I started my blue spruce. I haven't worked anymore on the blue spruce, just on my tree afghan. I didn't work on this a lot. If I just said that I did, I didn't. I've worked on this a tiny bit, and I'll show you what I did. Okay. I think when I looked at the video, it looked like I had done most of this before when you saw it, but I added a little bit here in the middle. I don't think I really added much anywhere else. So I just worked on it a little bit after I made the last video. And then, yeah, like I said, I've been sick and stuff. I need to refold that. That is not how I want that folded. But what I wanted to show you with the tree afghan, back before I did the blue spruce, I needed to decide where I was putting everything. And so I mapped it out. And I'm going to show that on my phone. Yeah. So I just showed you the cedar of Lebanon. No, maybe I'll use a needle as my pointer. This wants to go dark on me. So cedar of Lebanon is what I showed you. And yeah, sorry. And the blue spruce is the other one I started. So, sorry, the cottonwood is going to go over to the side of the cedar of Lebanon. I have to remind myself. And the aspen, just can't see anything. That's kind of a crazy way to do this, but the aspen is going to go up above the cedar of Lebanon. And I think those are the only ones that I've bought floss for so far. Although I did buy a bunch of floss for another project that I will probably be able to use for some of the trees that I haven't picked out the floss for yet. But anyway, I wanted you to see where all of the different trees are going to go that I'm doing. So these are the trees that are going to go in the cedar of Lebanon. There's, sorry, up in the top corner is cherry, and across the top row, I have to turn this so I can read it, is weeping cypress, palm tree. I know, not like a regular tree, but anyway, a jack pine and a peach tree. And then on the next row is bristlecone pine, elm tree. That middle column will have a blue atlas cedar, and then a maple tree and a ponderosa pine. There's a lot of, I think it's actually split about even between evergreen trees and deciduous trees. But and then the row that has the blue spruce and the aspen will also have, first it will have a Russian olive tree, then the blue spruce, the aspen, and then an Engelmann spruce and a pussy willow tree. And then the middle row where the cedar of Lebanon tree is, to the far, I don't know, when you're looking at it, it's the far left. There will be a swamp cypress, then a willow tree, the cedar of Lebanon, the cottonwood, and a Monterey cypress on the other end. And then the next row below that is acacia tree, that pretty African tree. An Italian cypress, those are those long, spindly, tall trees. An oak tree right under the cedar of Lebanon, a weeping white pine, and then an apple tree over here. And then it will be on the second to bottom row will be Douglas fir, walnut, Japanese cedar in that middle column, a sycamore tree, and then a Norway spruce. Those are those really big pine trees that they use like for the Christmas tree at the White House or Rockefeller Center or something. And then on the bottom row, it will be a juniper tree, a sequoia tree, an olive tree, a yew tree. Yew trees are those trees like they have in England that are like 1,000 years old. They get really, like their trunk is, I don't know, you could fit a van inside it or something. They're really, really big. Um, anyway, and then a boxwood tree. Those are the things that get cut into the shapes, like in those fancy English or French or whatever, a fancy garden where you cut your tree into a shape. Anyway, okay, next project. I hadn't been working on this. This is the one I've been working on the last few days. And that is this one. And usually have it all in the bag, but because I was just working on it, I don't. This is Old Faithful Inn from Yellowstone National Park. I bought this kit 23 years ago when I went to Yellowstone, and I only started working on it in the last, at least the last 5, maybe the last 10 years. But, you know, with me, that was very sporadic, and you'll see when you see how much I've got done, just how sporadic. But anyway, I have worked on it a little bit the last few days, including today. Yeah. So this is the inn. You can see the shape of the roof there and the windows, like the levels. It's really taking shape. This is the border coming around. So I've been working up here. None of this was done before I brought this out, well, a few days ago. And like I added a little bit in this area down here. And the reason I brought that out, well, it was my WIP go on a previous month, but I hadn't gotten it out. And when I made this video, believe it or not, it's probably going to be a long video because when I made it before, it was really long. And the reason you're not watching that is not that there was anything wrong with the video, except for one little thing. It didn't have any sound. And right before I started doing this one, I had checked the sound. It all sounded fine. Went and was going to start the video, and then I thought, let's just check again. And the sound was off. I was like, how? I didn't do anything. How did that happen? How did it go from working to not working? Anyway, I fixed it. If I didn't fix it, you won't be watching this video, but I fixed it. I had sound again, so unless something got screwed up in the process, you'll get this version. Okay. Sorry, if I put everything back, I know some people don't like to do it while they do their videos, but it helps me to just do it right now for keeping things tidy and organized while I do the video. Because there's one lady, her husband helps her, which is really fantastic. But I just do this on my own, and I have chosen the narrow end of the table. Plus, we've got puzzles set up on the rest of the table. So I only have so much space for my stuff. So I got to keep it tidy as I go, or it'll be a problem. So that's going to be just a tiny little thing. And you'd think in 23 years I could have made more progress. But anyhow. Okay, this one is a relatively new project. And yeah, it's a very small amount for me to have stitched over making things tidy. And I see I put something in the wrong spot. I'm putting patterns on one side, fabric on the other. And I can't mishmash it all up or stuff will go slippity slidey onto the floor since the patterns are a little slippery. All of that I didn't turn up because it's on the very bottom of the pile. Pattern for this project, which is Noelle Corbineau 1847. It's Reflet de Soie, which is a French designer. This is like an antique embroidery that she converted into a cross-stitch design. And I mean, this is gorgeous. I would love to have every one of her designs. They are incredible. This was one of my favorites. This was my favorite. That's why I got this one. Or it was my favorite that was available, I should say. And so I've been working up here in these flowers. And I didn't do a lot, but I did do a little. And I had to take a bunch out over here. So what I did was up over here. And so next time you see it, hopefully there'll be a whole bunch done. It will be incredible. But really, I hope so. Okay. See, I got out a pattern that I want to show you as part of the WIP Go, but not one I worked on. It needs to go in the pile, the other pile, not the pile of things I actually worked on. Okay. But let me show you the pattern first. This one, I bought this a couple of years ago. Now, some people have Flosstube videos where they say, this is one of my old projects, like a couple of years old. This is one of my new projects, meaning I only started it a couple of years ago. And it does not reflect 2 years worth of work. I had worked in this area before, and what I added is over here. I did add a little bit down here as well. This is a Cottage Garden Samplings, A Year in the Woods, number 8, the Barn Owl. She has the most adorable designs, and I especially love her Year in the Woods series. But she has a whole bunch. A lot of these great designers are like artists, so you can see that in their designs, that artistic aspect. So this is what I've added. And then I added a little bit down here as well. But yeah, so I've only worked on the owl. I know that looks like a start to, you know, I think if someone else showed me theirs and showed me this, I'd think it was a start. But it's progress for me. So that's what I am calling it. And it goes here. And you know, of course, as I'm making my pile, that there's something on the bottom of all that that I'm going to show you later, that I will have to dig out later. But anyhow, I got to remember to not be showing you the pattern on them. I forget as I'm like putting them away that I'm showing you the thing I went so hard to cover up. Although that actually, I guess it doesn't matter if you see. That just shows the floss colors and things. But yeah, this does have a couple of overdyed I don't know if they're hand dyed, but anyway, overdyed flosses by WIPS Dye Works. So, is a new start. I'm going to show you my new starts. I don't think I've shown you a new start yet, have I? I'll show you the new starts at the end. Okay. This, I actually worked on this. I'm really excited. Let me show you the pattern. Let's see. This is my Teresa Baird, who does Hearts Ease Exemplar Works designs. Her Virginia, a Cumberland County sampler. And she, like the poem she wrote herself, it's based on an antique sampler from Cumberland County, Virginia. But she has changed some of it herself. But it does have a lot of embroidery stitches in it, not just cross stitch. I haven't done any of that yet. So I had before done some of the lettering at the bottom of the poem. You can't see in this picture that that's brown in the middle. Maybe you can. But it comes out kind of dark here, and you'll see with my floss it's not that dark. But I had already done most of the brown, but I did add some of the brown. I added a little green. There was some green here, and then I added a lot of green. Oh, I'm showing you the wrong kind. A little green here, a little brown here, but most of the work was over here on this side. Where you see the sheep are, I haven't done the sheep, but I did work on the green. And I've gotten a few more flosses for this, so if I were to really just take off cross stitching, I have the floss to do it with because I'm not limited to so few colors now. Let me show you my progress. Again, yeah, if somebody else had just started a project and showed this, I would think it was a start. I've had it for a few years. See, it is a lighter brown. So I had a little brown, but now I've added a lot of brown. And I had a little green, and now I've added a lot more green. I haven't added any black. These are NPI silks because I need to organize stuff. I can't find my NPI black. And that's also why I haven't made any organization videos to tell people how to organize themselves like me so that you can't find anything when you need it. I do not have my pattern for this one. I gathered a lot of the patterns, but there's at least this one that I did not grab. I just honestly didn't think about it. So I think I did some of the orange up here, like some of the rays of the sun were not done. I added a little bit of the yellow. I don't think I did anything else except for that. This is the Day sampler by Tracy Riffle. It's in a Just Cross Stitch magazine. I think it's in January 2009, but I could be wrong. Anyhow. And she did hers in overdyed flosses, but I'm just using DMC, the one that's in the magazine. She has a fancy fabric. I'm just using like a raw or Irish linen, I'm not sure. Something like that. Um, okay, I was so excited to actually spend some time working on this project, which comes from Cross Stitch Collection, a British magazine that I don't think is in print anymore. It's really sad. This is one of the better magazines that has ever been made. When I look at any of my versions, I could just stitch from these. Put me on a desert island and give me just this magazine, and I would be happy. I want to stitch everything on here, and when I say I want to stitch it, like I dearly would love to have these dogs. They show you how to make them to be like doorstops. So you like fill them with sand or something. I don't know, maybe not sand, but you fill them with something heavy, and um, you don't. It's not like a square shape. You like make it the shape of the dog. Wouldn't those be adorable? Oh my gosh! Or just dog pillows on your couch or your bed or something. Who wouldn't love to snuggle up with one of those dogs? Anyway, I like all the other stuff too. But the one I've been working on is this one, which is Magic of the Woods. And we'll just go to the bigger picture in here. Um, the pattern is like a pull-out pattern, which is really nice. It's really big. Um, I think this is available. You can find it as a kit, a DMC kit. And I think I saw it called Damsel and Unicorn. Anyway, isn't that beautiful? And when I've shown you before, some of the gold and the pink, deep pink, it may look red, but it's deep pink, in the maiden's dress, was what I had done. And I had done it to like here, and I just come down a little bit with the pink. So yeah, it looks like a skirt, like a lot of my stuff does. I've been working on it for a few years now to get this amount done, which is it's not much, but beautiful Zweigart linen. I love this color. You will see I have more than one project on a similar color. Yeah, this fabric is humongous. Now, there's some here at the top, and there's some over to the side that I'm going to cut off, but that's enormous. I have a lot to stitch still. And right here, I think that the needles are holding it. Um, I know other people have a different method for how they show their projects, but this is my method. However, it may not be one anyone else uses. So I had done all this up at the top, and I basically just added this down here. But it does make it look more like a dress. You can see this is the top with the neck, and then starting on the dress down here. If I keep my needles in here, I am more likely to stitch on this when I get the chance. And if I have two needles, frankly, sometimes like, oops, where did my needle go? It got dropped like into the couch or the recliner, or I just can't find it. So yeah, if somebody brought a metal detector into this house, their wealth would be almost exclusively in pins and needles that I've dropped and couldn't find. Sorry, it wouldn't be a lot of the money that got dropped. Okay, so sorry, I just thought I better make sure it's actually recording. I thought sure it was, but I could see me talking to you for half an hour and not having actually hit record. Okay, some of this stuff here. I do have a couple more. I was going to show you my Poppy Lady because I think I had worked on it but I can't remember where I worked on it. So, not Poppy Lady. Sorry, Poppies and Hummingbirds. I am going to show you Poppy Lady too, but this one. But I'll wait and show you that in here in just a little bit. When I show you my whip though, you can see where I made progress. Like, you've got a good eye. But I think aside from my starts, this might be the only other one to show you. If you've watched any of my videos before, you might already know. This is my Anne Marie Bendixson Hansen. That's a long name. Sampler, which is one that I'm coming up with myself. Like the tree afghan is just based off of. Sorry, I was going to bring a glass of water in, and I didn't, and I should have. Oh, now you're going to hear me cough. But anyway, so I am so excited to show you this one. When I showed you this before, it was ready, or it had been ready for me to start the vase, but I hadn't actually started the vase, even though I'd been so excited to start the vase. And guess what? I started the vase now, like my use of the word started. Yeah, so I've actually stitched here and here. I started stitching there and some of that, or no, I didn't start stitching there. Anyway, I've outlined there. I had started stitching the swan that I'm going to put in the middle, but I took it out because I didn't like it and it was not centered properly. However, let me just explain this to you. This part is coming out. It's not going to be that wide. It's going to be this shape. And that's just for me to know how far to go with the stitching. It's going to have white decoration, but this is the main color of the vase. The dark blue is just to kind of highlight a few things. And then the light blue up here, I don't know if there will be any places where I put more light blue. That might only go there. We'll see. There could be a place here or here that I might use that I haven't really decided. Now, I would have loved for this to have like handles and everything, but it's such a tight fit over here on the side that I think I'm probably not going to add the handles. I'm going to have to do another design that has a big blue vase with handles. That's all there is to that, so I can get my handles in. But anyhow, I don't think that I added any more green up here, but let me scoot back. Use my bottom for something good. Scooting the chair back. So yeah, that's what it looks like. I'm really excited to get that vase done. I think when I add the leaves, that will help it look better. I don't know. I'm feeling sad about the size of the rose now. I wish that it was a bigger size. But it is done. I am not undoing that. That is how that's going to look. I hadn't finished the end before, and now I have. And I haven't quite finished this heart, which I learned because I made a video already and saw that it's almost finished, but not quite. But we'll come in here where you can see more. So a lot of what I did on this was the planning out of the vase. So I still need to do. So really, compared to how much I usually stitch on Anne Marie, I did not stitch on it all that much. It was possible I put some in over here, but I'm not really sure. Anyhow, there's my N and my heart. You should be able to see both of those. Anyhow, yeah, it will be nice to work on that some more. So for this, the vase, the reason that I haven't stitched more on the vase is the swan. And like I said, I had started the swan and needed to take it out. Let me show you what I'm basing my swan on. Where did I store that picture? Here we go. I found this really pretty swan on Etsy, actually. So I'm not going to be using anything but white. And so there won't be all the details that you see. But that's the shape of the swan. I just thought that was so pretty. Really, really pretty. That is not an actual picture you can buy, by the way. Isn't that lovely? No, it's a digital download. You can download that picture. But I wonder where they actually have it. So that's really pretty. Okay, let's see. I think we are now at the new start, where I need to show you my new start. Let me make sure. Okay. I have 3 new starts to show you. And I'm going to show you the one I started as my birthday start, since that's like a couple months ago now, back in March. And I'm really excited. It actually looks like a good start. Like I actually got a certain amount done on that. I started it, and boy, I just kept going. Shouldn't have stopped, right? Because then I would have gotten a ton done, which is what my mother would normally say, being the monogamous stitcher that she is. You know, I better show this to you this way. This is an owl forest embroidery design called Emerald City. And you'll notice that they did their Emerald City on a lighter green fabric. And I didn't really want to have to buy another fabric. And I didn't like most of the fabrics I had except for a beautiful emerald green fabric, which means that the emerald parts of the Emerald City are the exact same color as my fabric, so I can't use that. So I picked out a different shade that's somewhat lighter. Hopefully it's not the same as the others. Somebody else who was talking about this design or stitching it in their video mentioned that they changed things like the ruby slippers. Her slippers are silver here because the owl forest is a design that was done by either a Ukrainian or a Russian. I'm not sure. It's that part of the country or world. But and it's based on the book, not the movie. So in the movie she has ruby slippers, but not in the book. So that's why anything in here that doesn't look quite like what you're expecting it to. See, those little slippers are silver, not ruby. Any of those things are different because that's what they are in the book. So I start in the middle. So I started stitching in the middle. There's this like little gate thing down here, and it goes all the way across to here and here, which is what I did. And it looks kind of golden. I haven't done any of the green stuff. And you should notice the yellow brick road. Look how pretty that is. Well, their designs are so pretty because they have their own floss, but I did not order their floss, which would have been expensive. I'm just using DMC. So it won't have that in any part of it that I stitch, but it will still be really adorable. I used DMC Diamant for they have the floss conversion. I didn't have to do it. But anyway, it's going to be like a square design just like theirs. It feels really soft because it's not like your regular cross stitch fabric. So the holes are really, really super duper tiny. And it was really hard to stitch on. I started it and I had to take out what I did. And I was kind of giving up stitching it on this because of how hard it was. But once I got going, you know what, I got used to it and it was not bad. But this is my start. I know sometimes when I show this, my projects, like it doesn't show up because I missed the camera. I go too low or whatever. So I'm trying to take this needle out. I'm trying to do a little better. And it's easiest if I fold this. Um, so you can see closer. The diamante is in here, and this metallic green that's really pretty. Isn't that nice? So when I do the yellow brick road, that's more yellow, but I still need to add more green on here. And then the whole big city is still left to do. This is really just a tiny part of the Emerald City. So anyway, I have a lot to do on this, but I had been wanting to start it. If you've never seen an owl forest, this is a free pattern on the internet. You can start this if you want. Use your stash or something. Because like I said, it's supposed to be their fancy flosses that are really pretty if you want to get their floss by all means. But so anyway, if you haven't seen any of their patterns, you should go on their website, Owl Forest Embroidery. Um, they have the most beautiful stuff. Tons and tons of lovely patterns. Okay, the next new start I'm going to show you is one I have the least done on. I am trying to think when I did this. But anyway, the reason I started this was I had bought this pattern 20 or more years ago. And what happened was there used to be a lot of cross stitch stores here in Utah, all over the place, and they went out of business, including now Joann's is out of business. So now you've got Michael's and Hobby Lobby, which Mom was asking about getting a cross stitch magazine. And I said, well, I think you have to go to Michael's because I don't think Hobby Lobby has cross stitch magazines. At least I don't remember seeing them there. But you could go to Barnes and Noble. This was one we would see these lovely patterns, and they're like they have a model in your store, and not in Hobby Lobby, obviously, but in a cross stitch store. And we would say, oh, that's beautiful. I'd love to make that, but then not buy the pattern, which, as you know, they then go out of print. You can't get them, the kits or whatever. This was one that we had seen that we thought that was just beautiful. My mom thought it was pretty. I thought it was pretty. I actually went back and got that. I don't know if I got it when we were there, if I went. I think I went back and got it. Or I saw it somewhere some other time. Anyway, when I did, I got it. And the goal was to stitch it for my mother. And I got a special beautiful piece of like peach colored linen to stitch it on. But so when I finally was back to, I had not cross stitched for a while in there somewhere. When I finally got to where I was gonna stitch on it, couldn't find the fabric for the longest time. So finally, like in April sometime, I don't know if it was the beginning of April or later on, might have been around Easter, I said, you know, I don't have to stitch it on that peach fabric. This one's not on peach, and it's very pretty, and I have fabric like that, and I could get started. And so I did, and I'm just going to show you. I started in the middle, so I started on the baby's dress up here where there's like a curve. And my mother has two daughters. We're not any of us, none of us were blondes. We're white haired now, but we were brunettes. So, but I'm not going to change that. I know there are people who do. Anyway, there's lavender and lace. I don't know if that address is still accurate or good for that designer. But anyway, That's what it was then. So let me, my post-it note says for Christmas next year. Oh, that's ambitious. No, and there I am showing you the back of the pattern again. But anyway, here is my start. She still wants me to work on this project of hers, getting the border finished. Don't think she wants me to shift my focus to making this for her. I mean, this is the goal, but that's how much I have done right now. And yes, she watches my videos, so she'll see that, but there's such a tiny bit there. I don't know that she has great expectations for that. I mean, I do want to get it done and framed and give it to her, but that's down the road. Okay. Then I wanted to start another one that I just started like a week or so ago. This last week I started this. I've shown this before in the last year or two, my permanent Copenhagen Sampler 1830. There was a different pattern they had that I wanted, but it wasn't available, so I got this one. Well, I've been wanting to start it, but you need a really big piece of white fabric, it turns out. And my friend had given me some fabric, but it just didn't look quite the way I wanted this to look. So I got a piece of fabric just for this. And when I was at it, I got some more fabric for some other projects as well. So I have plenty of fabric for starting projects. Anyway, I start in the middle, so I started here, and it's just like rows. It's not going to look special, but so some people would do more than one color. My mother said, oh, you should do 2 shades of blue. I said, well, that would be pretty, but I'm just doing the one. So I got like 15 skeins of the color that this is, which is DMC 930. Now, if any of you watch Andrew the Runner Stitcher, he uses Silks for You PR, I want to say 207, on his Saga design, which is a beautiful shade of blue. But it's also a really expensive floss from Australia at like $35 for that. You do spend a certain amount when you buy 15 skeins, but you don't spend $35 to get 15 skeins of floss. So I started it, and this is a good start. This is an actual start. Again, this is one of those massive projects. So here's what I've stitched. It is so I can show you. There you go. Anyway, yeah, I could have done more for a start. That's a start. So all of these things that I keep saying, well, I'm going to work a ton on it, on all of them. In reality, like, I'm lucky if I stitch even just a little bit on any given day. Even when it's like a weekend or a holiday and I think I'm going to have all this time, like, stuff happens and I wind up not getting to stitch or I don't feel well. And I stitch really slow. So that's all my new starts. I think before I talk WIP Go or Mania, I'm going to show you what I bought. And I'm tempted to do like WIP Go and Mania in a separate video just to make it easier for people to watch and for me to make. And yeah, to not have such a long video. So I'm just going to show you the other things I bought. I told you that I bought, so that's Zweigart Belfast linen, 32 count, because that's what I use. So those are my other 2 that I've got there. And I'm just going to, I said I wanted to tell you about my plans, my starts, things I want to start. So I had gotten this a few years ago. One of those pieces of fabric is for this. So this is that Long Dog samplers are a French designer, but this is like a Dutch style sampler. So anyway, Voila Duke. And I got all the red for that too, which I like 321s, so I got 321 for that. I'm sure it would be pretty in any color, or like my mother's, or like some people do, like multiple colors. But I love the monochromatic look, not just two toned, but like truly just one shade. I love it. And then I also got a bunch of floss. So I told you that I got the blue and the red for those two patterns. Well, I also got it all at once, you know. I got this, which is a Vera Soie d'Alger. This one is 5113. And that is for, it will just be easiest to show you the project. Sorry. You know, of course, it's one of the first ones I showed. Remember where I just had this is the thing about getting back into a stack of fabric. So it's the shading in there on the flower, so it will help those flowers look more complete. Anyway, I also have blue for down here on the base and some green that I can use on that. I just have to spend time. I don't know why. I think I need to be covering my mouth when I'm coughing, and I'm the only person in the room, but I do. Sorry, just moving things back out of the way. Okay, and then I also got some NPI silk for the Heartsease Exemplar Works. This is so soft. This one is $5.43. But I needed a lot of it because I'm doing it on like 32 count. That was, in case you don't remember by name, this one. So that lets me work on some other parts of the design because there's the other shade of green. And okay, to tell you about the other floss that I got, which by the way is Water Lilies Karen. It's a multicolored, like variegated floss. Oh my gosh, it's 12 ply, it's not 6 ply. But anyway, the design that this is really pretty in that design. But these are like $7 each, so I'm buying them one at a time. Like if there's other fancy flosses like that, I just mean I don't buy them all at once. Like people who buy the kits that are really expensive. I understand why you do, because then you have it and you can just work on it. But anyway, let me show you, because that was the reason I got pretty much all the other stuff. Was I decided to finally get myself a chatelaine design. There's a reason for this, which I will tell you in a little bit. There was like this rather difficult thing happened to deal with, and this was like something nice. And I can't change the difficult thing, but I can get this. And this is just pure joy. So I've been wanting chatelaine. These designs are kind of pricey in my opinion. so I had held off buying it. Also, they're really complicated and hard, and so they use a lot of crystals and metallic threads and just a lot of special stuff. So this is Delicate Arch, which we have here in Utah, and a lot of other wonderful like Southwest and desert designs. And that water lilies is this pretty night sky. Isn't that going to be beautiful though? Anyway, it's called the Desert Mandala. And I would love to stitch every chatelaine design. They are exquisite. There just is no other word for them. And probably before I had seen the Heartsease Exemplar Works design, I probably would have thought this was the most beautiful cross stitch I'd ever seen. Was their stuff. That's just one example. They have so many. Okay, that is the stuff that I bought, and my new starts. But I did have some other things I wanted to start. That kind of goes along with this idea of mania. So some people, when they do mania, they start a new project every day in May, which, yeah, we're a week into May and I haven't done that. I did start a project, and I would like to start both of these. I've had these patterns for 25 years. I don't know, 20 years at least, but maybe 25. I had them, maybe not 25, but I've had them for a while. Pegasus Originals, they have beautiful things. This is from the old Heinzelman store in Provo that's no longer there. And you could do this on Ada. The Ada I have just isn't the right size if it's the right color, or it's not. When I say the right color, it's not the color I want it to be for how I want this to look. You could stitch it on any color. But I decided I have a whole bolt of this stuff. And I can just stitch it on this. So I have the bolt ready for me to cut the fabric so I can start this. I just haven't yet, but that is the goal, to get that started. Okay. I think, much as I would like to do Mania and WIP Go, I'm going to just put that in a separate video. I might have said at the beginning of this video I was going to talk about it. But this video is now almost an hour, and I'd rather just make it 2 separate videos. So I'm just going to do my little life update, which is that my sister, the last day in March, had a stroke, and it paralyzed the right side of, it affected the right side of her brain, which paralyzed the left side of her body. So she is still in the hospital recovering from that. It's a really serious thing for me. Like, my whole world just stopped when that happened. And so there was a lot of like going to see her at the hospital. I say a lot, but she very, very soon was transferred to a hospital in Salt Lake, which I haven't been able to go to. I mentioned that I've been sick and my mother has been sick. Aside from me not being able to go, I wouldn't want to get her sick, where she has only recently been able to take the feeding tube out and be able to swallow on her own. So she's still like something like getting sick like that could be really serious for her. So anyway, yes, that was the thing that happened that I didn't have control over, and she didn't have control over. No one had control over. She's working really hard to rehabilitate from that, and it makes you really grateful for so many things, like being able to have a drink of water and it not kill you or something, or for it to not hurt when you eat, or just lots of things. We are so grateful to the doctors and nurses that have helped her, to the family and friends that have gone to see her. and anyone who's done stuff to help her, like neighbors and strangers probably too. But there was the lady that called 911 for her, Raina. Thank you to Raina for saving my sister's life. She was home alone when this happened and was there for probably a day before she got found. So I'm so glad that she's not alone right now, that people are looking out for her. And of course, mostly we are very thankful to God for choosing to let us keep her and have her here to bless our lives. And we are looking forward to her being able to stay with us and come. It would be great if she could come home from the hospital. We would love that. But we are grateful for anything that God chooses to give her. Sorry. I'm not like smiling when I say it because it's just such a serious thing and we're really sober minded about it a lot of the time. But really just every prayer we say, we are grateful for her and pray for her. So yeah, that was kind of a serious note at the end, but yeah. So look for my next video on WIPCO and Mania. I will make another video sooner than I normally do. And leave any comments that you have. I'd love it if you like my video and subscribe, whatever you feel comfortable doing. That would be great. Thank you.